She's pointing out the tree, but her real purpose is to point to the moon. So she's pointing out something to indicate something else. So this is the logic in the Gita. Arjuna is not a conditioned soul, but to teach us, Krishna has arranged that Arjuna has this seeming lamentation. So it's also significant in this first verse, tam tata kripaya avishtam, kripaya avishtam, that Arjuna has become kripaya avishtam. Avishtam means overwhelmed with kripa, with mercy. So indirectly, this is indicating something else. There's two types of vishad. There's lamentation for myself, and there's lamentation for others. And that lamentation for others can include an expression of my desire to have Guru, my expression of my desire to have Krishna. So Kripaya Vishtam indicates that actually Arjuna is a high-class person, but he's saying that in a subtle way. Ashru Purnakalekshanam. Arjuna's crying. It's a very, very intense thing for him. Visidantam idam vakyam uvacha madhusudana. And because of Arjuna's words and Arjuna's mood, then Krishna, he responds with Arjuna. And he becomes very heavy with Arjuna. The first thing he tells him in the next verse, Kutashpakashmalamidam. How have these impurities come upon you? Anarya justam asvargyam. These are anarya, they're not meant for high-class people. This is something for a low-class person. And then he does something really, really bad. He says klaibyam. Prabhupada translates klaibyam as impotence. But someone who's a klaibya is a eunuch. And Arjuna previously, he was cursed by Urvasi. You may know that story, that he should become a eunuch. It's about the worst thing you can call a warrior. And so Krishna's telling that to Arjuna. Klaibya masmadama partha. How is this? You're Partha, your son of Pritha, such a very high-class Kshatriya lady, but you're like a klaibya? You're like a eunuch? This very low-class weakness of the heart is overcome you. Chaktutisha parantapa. Give this up, and you should fight. And then Arjuna, again, he tells Krishna some other arguments. He says, how can I fight with people like Bhishma and Drona? They're my worshipable superiors. You should never disrespect a superior person, even with a verbal, in a verbal way. And he tells him that it would be better, I would prefer just to die or beg from other people than to live at the cost of my teachers, these great souls. They're everything for me. So he said, so I don't know what's better, to kill them or to be killed by them. I really don't know. It's a very beautiful existential question. He says then, a very famous verse, which the first chapter is leading up to. You know this verse. Karpanya doso pahata svabhava prachami tvam dharma samuda cheta yashreya shanishchitam bruhi tanme shishyaste hamsari mam tvam prapana. He says, no, I don't know. He says, because of this karpanya dosha, this weakness, this fault of weakness of heart, because of that, Prichchami Tvam Dharma Samuda Cheta, I'm bewildered. I don't know what is Dharma. And it's not just what is religion. Dharma also means your occupational activity. It means your intrinsic quality. In other words, he's saying, I don't know who I am. It's a great existential crisis. So yet Shreya Shanishchitam Bruhitane. So you tell me what is Shreya. What is actually something good. Shishyaste aham. Sarimam tvam prapanam. Now I'm your disciple and you should instruct me. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his Sarita Varshini commentary has given a very interesting conversation that goes on inside of this verse between Arjuna and Krishna. Krishna replies to Arjuna, Nanu tahi sapapatat kam Shastartam tvam eva bruhara kshatriyo bhutva bhikshatanam nishchinisho taryalam marutyeti tattaha karpanyeti. He said, Arjuna, you're telling me so much Shastra. We were hearing in the last chapter. He was giving so many good arguments, bona fide arguments, based on Shmiti Shastra, based on literatures like Manu Sanghita. We can't disrespect senior persons. It's wrong. Shastra says don't ever do that. Don't disrespect your guru. And if we do that, what will happen to the women? The women will become contaminated. No one will be there to protect them if all the men die. And if the women become polluted, then what's going to happen to society? We'll have Varna Sankara. We'll have unwanted children or little demons like the world today. And then what will happen to the society? These are people who don't act according to these principles. They go to hell. How can you tell me to do this? So Krishna's speaking back to Arjuna. He says, Arjuna, you've been speaking to me so much Shastra to bring your conclusion. He says, although you're a Kshatriya, you've decided now to become a beggar. You're a great Vidvan, Shastra Vidvan. You're a great Pandit. You know so much Shastra. But what is the value of your Shastra? You're a Kshatriya and you're going to become a beggar? What kind of understanding of Shastra do you have? And he tells him, why should I say anything? You already know everything. You're preaching to me. You're not asking me things, Arjuna. You're coming and you're telling me. You're telling me what is religion. You're telling me what's right and what's wrong. So why should I speak to you? And then Arjuna, he says, no, no, no. My intelligence has become bewildered, trying to understand what is really Dharma. He says, after all, Dharmasya sukshma gatihi. The Mahabharata says that the path of Dharma is very, very subtle. So, Krishna, forgive me. It's not so easy to understand really what's Dharma. So therefore it's better for you to decide and you tell me. And then Krishna replies, Nanumad tvam pandata mani vena kandayasi chetkatam bruyam. He says, but Arjuna, you're so expert in argument. You're defeating me. So why should I say anything to you? You're such a learned person. You're so good at argument. You can defeat me. So why should I say anything? And then Arjuna replies, Tatraha shishisteham asmi natam paramrita kandaya mitti bhavaha. No, no. Now I'm your student. And I'm no longer going to uselessly oppose you. And Krishna then, he says, Sakhayam tvam katam upadisamiti chit tatraha. How can I teach you if you're my friend? We're, when they say in Russian, we're droogs. We're very close friends. How is it possible? And Arjuna says, no. Sishyaste ahamiti. Sadi sikshaya. Now I'm your student. I'm your disciple, Sishya. You please teach me, Sadi. So, this is the result of Vishad Yoga. Vishad, we gave some different meanings for it. And we didn't mention, we stopped at a certain point. I should read a few more. Vishad also means disappointment, despair. It means fear. It means weakness. It means aversion. It means disgust. It means dullness. It means stupidity, insensibility. It means a cause of depression and grief. It means being dejected or downcast. It means looking depressed or sorrowful. So as we mentioned last night, it's a compound word, Visha and Ada. Visha means poison. Ada means to take or receive. So Vishada means, I'm taking poison, I'm going to die. When we take poison, we lose everything. And another meaning of it is that I accept this lamentation. I don't try to act like something else. And therefore, because Arjuna has not denied his lamentation, Arjuna has embraced it. He's placed it before Krishna. He said, I can't do this thing. And therefore, he comes to Krishna as Krishna's disciple. Sanatana Goswami was a great scholar and a very highly placed person in the court of Nawab Hussain Shah. But when he came to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what did he say? You can chant Hare Krishna in response. Ke ami ke ne aman jare tapa try iha nahi jane ami ke mane hito hoy bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ke ami, ke ne amai. Who am I? Why am I here? This is how we approach Guru and Krishna. To teach us this, Krishna performs Vastraharana Leela. And some people think it's because he's a lusty boy. But those girls were like 5 years old at the time when Krishna stole their clothes. It's not a lusty activity. There's a purport to it. Krishna's teaching us that when we come before Guru and Krishna, we should come naked. Doesn't mean you should take off your clothes. Srila Krishna Maharaj would be very angry with me. But it means, it means that when we come before Guru and Krishna, we don't come with any pretensions. Pretension means you're pretending. We don't come with any upadis. Now I'm coming as a blank slate. Jesus Christ, he said, you empty your cup and I'll fill you. We have to come as a blank slate. And therefore Sanatana Goswami is teaching us. Ke ami, I don't know who I am. Not that we come, Maharaj, I wonder if you give me initiation. I just want to let you know, you'll be really lucky if you get me as a disciple. You know, I know 5 verses in the Bhagavad Gita. I haven't missed Mangalartik in 2 weeks. I'm almost an incarnation. I'm also very handsome, intelligent, and very humble. And you'll be lucky. And I'm also very rich. If you accept me. You may do like that, and you may get something. But that's not the way that we come to Guru. We come to Guru. Guru is a manifestation of Krishna. And when we cry, when we perform what my Guru Maharaj used to call Atma Krandana, or the crying of the soul, which is described by Jagadananda Pandit in Prema Vivarta, and how the jiva, Kabu Raja, Kabu Praja, Kabu Vipra Sudra, is going from one birth to another. Sometimes he's a king, sometimes a citizen, Kabu Vipra, Kabu Sudra, sometimes a Brahman, sometimes a Sudra, Kabu Duki, Kabu Suki, Kabu Chita Sudra. Sometimes he's happy, sometimes he's unhappy, sometimes he becomes a worm and stool, and he doesn't know who he is. And he describes him. Ehi rupe samsara brahmite kona jan sadhu sange nija tattva avagata han bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Ehi rupe samsara brahmite kona jan. He's on eternal vacation, like something from one of those old science fiction movies. You know? You get the eternal vacation. You think it'll be nice to go for a 2-week vacation, but what if the vacation never ends for all of eternity? This is what the jiva is going through, and he doesn't know who he is. But sadhu sangha nija tattva avagatahan. If by some brahmatikom bhagavan jiv, by some good fortune, he comes in contact with sadhu, the nija tattva avagatahan, he understands who I am. The sadhu tells him, you're not all these upadis. You're not a beautiful girl, you're not a rich man, you're not a scholar, you're not this thing or that thing. You're a spirit soul. Nija tattva jani a samsara chai kenava bhajinu maya kore hoi hoi bo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nija tattva jani are. When the soul understands this tattva, I'm not this body, I'm a soul. Then samsara nachai, he doesn't want the material entanglement anymore. And then Kenova Bajino Maya Kore Hoi Hoi. He begins to cry. But this is what's indicated also in this first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is having this existential crisis. And this is really where spiritual life begins. Krishna tells Arjuna in the Adi Purana, Gat Vachama Manamari Raganti Mani Sanido Te Shamaham Parikrito Nanya Krito Janardanaha. He says, Arjuna, it's not so easy to be God. Everybody tries to tell everyone that I belong to them. And he says, the Muslims say I belong to them, but I don't belong to the Muslims. I don't belong to the Christians. I don't belong to the Jews. I don't belong to the Hindus. I don't belong to the Hare Krishnas. He said, but I belong to those persons who chant my name and cry for me. And that's the purpose of this movement. Srila Prabhupada sometimes said, we're not coming to give some sectarian thing. Prabhupada wrote a letter to the Governor General of Canada, and he said that our movement is a non-sectarian movement, and amongst them we have members who are Muslims and Christians and Jews, and they can keep their respective religion and still be a member of our movement. Because we're not teaching a religion. You can keep your religion, it's okay. We'll be going to Uzbekistan in another month or so. And it's a very heavy place. There's a lot of people that are born in Muslim families, and if you change your religion, the penalty is death. They'll kill you for that. But we have Muslims coming to the Hare Krishna temple. But they wear their Muslim garments, and they still do their namaz. They do 3 times a day. They're doing their respects to Mecca and that. And we never ever discourage them from that. Be a Muslim. But if you can add this, and it helps you something, very good. We're not trying to give someone a new religion. We're trying to teach people how to cry for Krishna, how to cry for God. And this is the meaning of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Kende bole ohe Krishna, Amitabha Das, Tomara Charana Chari Hoila Sarvanase. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. At that time, the jiva begins this Atma Krandana, this Vishad Yoga of crying from the heart, from the soul. And this is a real beginning of spiritual life. Not what they may tell you in the Christian church or the Islamic temple or whatever, or even in the Hare Krishna movement that it begins and you become a life member. You get some Sukriti at that point. It's a big subject matter. But bhakti doesn't begin until we take shelter of Guru. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, he describes it as Indriya Vyapara. Your activities, your devotional activities, Gop, before we come to Guru, he says it's Indriya, just the senses engaged with the sense objects, Ata Shri Krishna, Namadi, Nabhaved Grind Indriya. You can't perceive it. But when you take shelter of Krishna's representative, when we cry out to Krishna, then Krishna reciprocates. How does he reciprocate? Krishna creates a miracle that we can all see, and not a miracle like we spoke about yesterday at our Catherine Kuhlman's church, with all the cripples and whatever like that. A practical, real miracle. Krishna appears before me as Guru, and I know in my heart, Krishna came in this form. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, at that point, your bhakti really begins. Because ye me bhakta jana parta na me bhakta tsasri janaha, but bhaktanam chaye bhaktas te me bhakta tamumataha. Krishna says, those people say they're my devotee, they're not my devotee. Those people who say they're chanting my names, they're not chanting my names. But that person who's worshipping my devotee, he's really worshipping me. And therefore Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Tate Krishna Bhaji Kori Guru Sevan. Worship Krishna and serve Guru. How do we serve Guru? By worshipping Krishna. And my worship of Krishna is my service to Gurudev. Not that I chant Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev on my beads and just keep a 9-foot high picture of my Gurudev in my house. But I serve and please my Gurudev by remembering and serving Krishna. So can we boli, oh hey Krishna, Amitabha Das. When the living entity comes to this point, he comes in contact with the sadhu, then he begins to understand who I am. And he begins this Atma Krandana. This is also Vishad, but it's a different kind of Vishad that we're hearing about before, with Arjuna's existential crisis, where he wanted to commit suicide, where he couldn't function. Now it's become something positive, because he pointed it in the direction of Krishna. Amitabha Das, I'm your servant. Tomara Charanachari Hoila Sarvanas. I gave up the shelter of your lotus feet, and now I've lost everything. So, this is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. We should learn the yoga of lamentation. Yoga means to connect with, to unite with. And this kind of yoga is the yoga of lamentation. We unite with the Lord by our lamentation, by our crying out from the heart, by being honest. You can criticize Arjuna if you like. The guy's really in the bodily concept of life. He should go to the Bhakti program, man, or do something. Maybe he should get a Bhakti Shastri degree or something. I don't know. You can criticize him. But Arjuna's being honest. And therefore this honesty is glorified throughout Vedic literatures. We were mentioning in the first day, Jiva Goswami and Bhakti Sandarbha speaks about two types of bhajan. Sakaitava and Nishkaitava. Or cheating bhajan and honest bhajan. It's not bad to be fallen. Very good to be fallen. But it's very bad to pretend. If someone is pretending that they're asleep, Prabhupada used to say, you can't wake them up. What's the value of trying to wake them up? If someone thinks they know everything, what's the point in teaching them anything? So we have to begin our spiritual life with deep, deep honesty and crying out from our heart. And what happens at that time? There's a beautiful lecture from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. I'll read this and then I'll translate the English into English. This is something he wrote in 1929. He says, at the dawn of our spiritual life, we sincerely and with complete submission and self-surrender pray to God for receiving the protection of Sadguru. This is when the dawn begins. When the day begins, our spiritual life begins. We sincerely and with complete submission, these two qualities, sincerity and complete submission, third, self-surrender, we pray to God to get the protection of Sadguru. The Supreme Lord, perceiving our earnestness and devotion, he has an x-ray machine. He can look in everyone's heart. Oh, it's just from the lips. Okay, we'll give him a shiny red bicycle. Next. Oh, he wants a girlfriend. Okay, we'll give him that. Oh, this one's very genuine. We can't cheat. It's not just an ecclesiastical religious formality that I take initiation, I have a priest, now I'm part of the movement. For some people it may be like that. And that's okay. That's also all right. They're still caught up with their upadhis, and they're not really beginning in a deep way their spiritual life. But Vishwanath says that, just as Indriya Vyapara, that is the senses engaged in the sense objects, it's not really bhakti. He says, but it is bhakti also. He gives us some hope. And he gives an example of a fire yajna. What is a fire yajna? Fire yajna means you have a fire, and you pour ghee in it, and you chant Swaha, the name of Agni's wife. That's a fire yajna. But there's other activities which lead up to it, which are not a fire yajna. You sweep the area, you collect firewood, you collect ghee and the different articles. That's not the fire yajna. Fire yajna is when you pour the ghee and chant the mantras. But because it leads to the fire yajna, it's also the fire yajna. So, for someone who may want something, they may need some upadhis, they may be very, very attached to having some social upadhis, that's okay. Very good. We also have social upadhis here for you. And you don't have to cry for anything more. Just chant Hare Krishna, everything will be fine. And we don't tell them that probably everything won't be fine. If you're really lucky, everything's going to become destroyed in your life. If you really get mercy. We don't tell them that when they first walk into the temple. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says, the Supreme Lord, perceiving our earnestness and devotion, with a view to guide us on the true path, will send a real guru to us. Otherwise, it's impossible for us to find Sadguru by our own fallible energy. He says in another article he called Philanthropism, another big subject, that we're trying to understand spirit with the same senses that bind us to this material world. Our eyes, our ears, and nose, different senses. These senses which are binding me to this material world, I'm trying to use those same senses to understand something spiritual. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Nabavid Graimindra. It's impossible. You can't do it. So by our own fallible energy. He says, if we guide ourselves by our own energy, what will we get? We shall come across the pseudo-gurus, and being caught hold of them by their temporary pleasing manners, will run down to hell. And there's so many persons like that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says it's Putana, or the false guru, the first obstacle in our spiritual life. But really, there's no such thing as a false guru. There's only false disciples. Because if we're sincere, we have complete submission and self-surrender, Krishna will send us a bona fide guru. But if we're bogus, if we have some other kind of motivation, subtle or gross, then Krishna may cheat us. Of course, someone may be sincere, and they may get something which is not first class. But that may be Krishna's way to make them cry more, or Krishna's way to glorify them later on. But in any case, on this path, there's no question of anyone being able to cheat me. I can only cheat myself, as our friend from America, Pogo, once said. We've met the enemy, and he's us. This is Vaishnavism. Bhagavatam, 14th canto, 14th chapter, the 10th canto. Lord Brahma describes, what's the verse? Krishna Kamita. Very common verse. That we should accept when we Yomukti Padesha Dharma Tate no Kampam Susamikshama Bunjani Bhavnikatam Vipakam. When I stop blaming everyone else, when I accept responsibility for myself and for what happens to me, that's when my spiritual life begins. And this is Vishad Yoga. This is a yoga of lamentation. Because I can't depend on anyone else. And I don't really have anything. When we realize I don't have anything, I have nothing, that's when we can really begin to cry. And that's the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. So we'll stop there. We've gone over time. Is there any one or two questions? Maharaj, do you want to add anything? Please.
Thank you.
Mataji?
There's some external symptom of complete submission. That's because from the same instruction that's given to all disciples, they can be understood in different ways.
So the question is there some external symptom of surrender? And the answer is yes. And that's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita and other literatures. Someone knows Shastra, that someone's engaged. And Rupa Goswami says in Upadeshamrita that Krishna iti yashagiri twam manasad. They're chanting Krishna's name. We should respect him in our mind. Dikshastri chet panati bishcha bhajantam nisham. They have diksha, they're worshipping the Lord. I'll offer obeisances to them. Nindari shinu hidamipsita sangalabhya. And sangalabhya, I want association with that person who doesn't criticize anyone. Those are symptoms. But let's contemplate those symptoms. Are they absolute? Can you trust them always? I've met a lot of people who chant Hare Krishna. You know, the Los Angeles Temple, every year, they sell a huge amount of dhotis and kurtas, beginning, I think, about the 15th of October. And then on the 31st of October, I think it's Halloween, right?